Salam. Why are there not more people talking about the equality of witnesses in Islam? Question. Why are two witnesses who are women equivalent to only one witness who is a man? Answer. Two female witnesses are equal to one male witness only in financial transactions. It is not true that two female witnesses are always considered as equal to only one male witness. It is true only in certain cases. There are no less than 8 verses in the Quran that mention witnesses, without specifying male or female. There is only one verse in the Quran that says 2 female witnesses are equal to one male witness. This verse is in Surah Al Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 282. This is the longest verse in the Quran and deals with financial transactions. It says, "O ye who believe, when ye deal with each other in transactions involving future obligation in a fixed period of time, reduce them to writing, and get 2 witnesses out of your own men, and if there are not 2 men, then a man and 2 women, such as ye choose, for witnesses, so that if one of them errs, the other can remind her." Al-Quran 2:282. This verse of the Quran deals only with financial transactions. In such cases, it is advised to make an agreement in writing between the parties and take 2 witnesses, preferably both of which should be men only. In case you cannot find 2 men, then 1 man and 2 women would suffice. For instance, suppose a person wants to undergo an operation for a particular ailment. To confirm the treatment, he would prefer taking references from 2 qualified surgeons. In case he is unable to find 2 surgeons, his second option would be 1 surgeon and 2 general practitioners who are plain MBBS doctors. Similarly, in financial transactions, 2 men are preferred. Since financial responsibility is shouldered by men, they are expected to be well versed in financial transactions as compared to women. As a second option, the witness can be 1 man and 2 women, so that if one of the women errs, the other can remind her. The Arabic word used in the Quran is tazil, which means confused or to err. Many have wrongly translated this word as to forget. Thus, financial transaction is the only case in the Quran in which 2 female witnesses are equal to 1 male witness. 2 female witnesses equal to 1 male witness even in the case of murder. However, some scholars are of the opinion that the feminine attitude can also have an effect on the witness in a murder case. In such circumstances, a woman is more terrified as compared to a man. Due to her emotional condition, she can get confused. Therefore, according to some jurists, even in cases of murder, 2 female witnesses are equivalent to 1 male witness. In all other cases, 1 female witness is equivalent to 1 male witness. 2 female witnesses are not always considered equal to 1 male witness. There are no less than 8 verses in the Quran which speak about witnesses without specifying man or woman. While making a will of inheritance, 2 just persons are required as witnesses. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 106, the glorious Quran says, "O you who believe, when death approaches any of you, take witnesses among yourself when making bequests, 2 just persons of your own, brotherhood, or other from outside if you are journeying through the earth, and the chance of death befalls you." Al-Quran 5:106. 2 persons endued with justice in case of talaq, divorce, and take for witness 2 persons from among you, endued with justice, and establish the evidence as before Allah. Al-Quran 65:2. 4 witnesses are required in case of charge against chaste women. And those who launch a charge against chaste women and produce not 4 witnesses to support their allegations, flog them with 80 stripes and reject their evidence ever after, for such men are wicked transgressors. Al-Quran 24:4. It is also mentioned in Surah Al-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 6, Surah Al-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 15, Surah Al-Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 8, as well as Surah Al-Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 13, which all speak about witnesses without specifying man or woman. The Quran clearly specifies that one female witness is equal to one male witness. There are some scholars who are of the opinion that the rule of 2 female witnesses equal to 1 male witness should be applied to all the cases. This cannot be agreed upon because one particular verse of the Quran from Surah Al-Nur, chapter 24, verse 6, clearly equates 1 female witness and 1 male witness. And those who launch a charge against their spouses and have, in support, no evidence but their own, their solitary evidence can be received. Al-Quran 24:6. The solitary witness of Ayesha, may Allah be pleased with her, is sufficient for Hadith to be accepted. Ayesha, may Allah be pleased with her, the wife of the beloved Prophet, has narrated no less than 2,220 Ahadith, which are considered authentic only on her solitary evidence. This is a sufficient proof that one witness of a woman can also be accepted. Many jurists agree that even one witness of a woman is sufficient for the sighting of the crescent of the moon. Imagine, one woman witness is sufficient for one of the pillars of Islam, i.e., fasting, and the whole Muslim community agree and accept her witness. Some jurists say that one witness is required at the beginning of Ramadan and 2 witnesses at the end of Ramadan. It makes no difference whether the witnesses are men or women. Female witnesses are preferred in some cases. Some incidents require only female witness, and that of a male cannot be accepted. For instance, in dealing with the problems of women, while giving the burial bath to a woman, the witness has to be a woman. 16. Inheritance. Under Islamic law, why does a woman inherit only half the wealth as compared to the man? Answer 1. Inheritance in the Quran. The Quranic verses that contain guidance regarding inheritance are Surah Al Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 180. Surah Al Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 240. Surah Al Nisa, chapter 4, verses 7 to 9. Surah Al Nisa, chapter 4, verse 19. Surah Al Nisa, chapter 4, verse 33. And Surah Al Ma'idah, chapter 5, verses 106 to 108. 2. Specific shares of inheritance for the relatives. There are 3 verses in the Quran that broadly describe the share of close relatives, that is, Surah Al-Nisa, chapter 4, verses 11, 12, and 176. The verses are as follows. Allah thus directs you as regards your children's inheritance. To the male, a portion equal to that of 2 females. If only daughters, 2 or more, their share is 2/3 of the inheritance. If only one, her share is a half. For parents, a 1/6 share of the inheritance to each, if the deceased left children. If no children, and the parents are the only heirs, the mother has a 1/3. If the deceased left brothers or sisters, the mother has a 1/6. The distribution in all cases is after the payment of legacies and debts. You know not whether your parents or your children are nearest to you in benefit. These are settled portions ordained by Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. In what your wives leave, your share is half if they leave no child. But if they leave a child, ye get a 1/4, after payment of legacies and debts. In what ye leave, their share is a 1/4 if ye leave no child. But if ye leave a child, they get an 1/8, after payment of legacies and debts. If the man or woman whose inheritance is in question has left neither ascendants nor descendants, but has left a brother or a sister, each one of the 2 gets a 1/6. But if more than 2, they share in a 1/3, after payment of legacies and debts, so that no loss is caused to anyone. Thus it is ordained by Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, most forbearing. Say, Allah directs them about those who leave no descendants or ascendants as heirs. If it is a man that dies, leaving a sister but no child, she shall have half the inheritance. If such a deceased was a woman who left no child, her brother takes her inheritance. If there are 2 sisters, they shall have 2/3 of the inheritance between them. If there are brothers and sisters, they share, the male having twice the share of the female. Thus doth Allah make clear to you his law, lest ye err, and Allah hath knowledge of all things. Al-Quran 4:176. 3. Female sometimes inherits the same or more than the male counterpart. In most cases, a woman inherits half of what her male counterpart inherits. However, this is not always the case. In case the deceased has left no ascendant or descendant but has left the uterine brother and sister, each of the two inherits 1/6. If the deceased has left children, both the parents, that is the mother and the father, get an equal share and inherit 1/6 each. In certain cases, a woman can also inherit a share that is double that of the male. If the deceased is a woman who has left no children, brothers or sisters, and is survived only by her husband, mother and father, the husband inherits half the property, while the mother inherits 1/3 and the father the remaining 1/6. In this particular case, the mother inherits a share that is double that of the father. 4. Female usually inherits half the share of that of the male counterpart. It is true that as a general rule, in most cases, the female inherits a share that is half that of the male. For instance, in the following cases: 1. Daughter inherits half of what the son inherits. 2. Wife inherits 1/4 and husband 1/2 if the deceased has no children. 3. Wife inherits 1/8 and husband 1/4 if the deceased has children. 4. If the deceased has no ascendant or descendant, the sister inherits a share that is half that of the brother. 5. Male inherits double than the female because he financially supports the family. In Islam, a woman has no financial obligation and the economic responsibility lies on the shoulders of the man. Before a woman is married, it is the duty of the father or brother to look after the lodging, boarding, clothing, and other financial requirements of the woman. After she is married, it is the duty of the husband or the son. Since the financial burden to look after the family is put on the men, in order to do justice to this responsibility, they get double the share of inheritance. For example, if a man dies leaving about $150,000 for the children, that is one son and one daughter, the son inherits $100,000 and the daughter only $50,000. Out of the $100,000 which the son inherits, as his duty towards his family, he may have to spend on them almost the entire amount, or say about $80,000, and thus he has a small percentage of inheritance, say about $20,000, left for himself. On the other hand, the daughter, who inherits $50,000, is not bound to spend a single penny on anybody. She can keep the entire amount for herself. Would you prefer inheriting $100,000 and spending $80,000 from it? Or inheriting $50,000 and having the entire amount for yourself?